All right, welcome back, class. Again, we're going to start section 5.4, factoring and solving polynomials. Some of the methods you already know, like box method. We already taught you box method in chapter 4, quadratics. The new stuff is going to be cubic formulas, grouping, GCF, greatest common factor. You already know how to do that too. Okay. All right, so again, practice these warm-up problems. Okay. And again, if you get stuck on one of these, this is all the information that you should know now, since we covered already 5.3. But if you don't, if you're still stuck and you need more help, those are the questions I want you to ask tomorrow when you come to class. Okay? So again, make sure you're doing your homework, watching these videos. All right, let's continue. All right, so again, today we're going to be covering factoring and solving polynomial equations. So what I want you to do by the end of the lesson, I want you to be able to factor, and not only factor, but solve a polynomial function. Okay. All right, so just a couple of key terms. So make sure to put these in your notes. Okay. So factoring, again, we're just pulling out common factors, okay, numbers or variables. Break up what's left into products of lesser degree. So that's always important. When we're factoring, if we start with something that's x to the power of 4, factoring just simply means we're breaking it into smaller or lesser parts, okay, like x squared, x cubed, or just x. Okay. A polynomial is factored completely if it is written as a monomial or the product of monomial and one or more prime monomials, okay? So if you don't remember what a prime number, remember prime number simply means you could multiply itself times 1, and that's a prime number. Okay. So again, make sure to copy this in your notes. I'll be looking for it when I check your notes. All right, the new stuff, grouping, okay? Remember, I told you that I like the box method because it not only works with 2 terms, 3 terms, it actually works with 4 terms. But before I even show you that, I'm going to show you how to group when you have 4 terms. Okay? So this is another method of factoring. Okay? What is grouping? It's just pairing the terms that have a common monomial factor. Sometimes it's going to be in order like this. Sometimes it's going to be all jumbled. So you remember, key thing to remember is always put it in standard form. And standard form simply means highest power first, lowest power last, and it has to be in descending order. So 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. All right. These are just some common ways to go through the list of factoring. Okay. If you use when you have 4 terms and the cube formulas fail, okay, I'm going to show you what those cube formulas are in just a moment. Okay. Be sure that the polynomial is in standard form. That's what I talked about. Okay. But if the cube formula fails, it has to be one of the 4. It has to be box method, GCF, cubic formulas, or grouping, which is what I'm going to show you right now. So let's go ahead and do grouping right here. So grouping simply means let's group them in pairs. Okay? So group them in pairs. So I'm going to group the first 2, add parentheses. The next 2, I'm not going to get rid of that sign. I'm going to put positive. Okay. All right. So why did I include positive? Because again, we're not multiplying here. We're adding. So that's why I added a positive. And it's still positive 3x. So you could do that. Okay. If it's negative, put a positive. Just add the negative on the inside. And then factor it out after. All right, so I grouped them into pairs of 2s. Okay. What do you notice that they have in common? So we're taking something out. Okay. So if you notice, they have x2 in common. So I'm going to go ahead and take out an x2. And if I take it out, x2 away from x3, what's left over is just x. Okay. And if you multiply, x2 times x1 is equal to x cubed. All right, next, if you take out an x squared away from 2x squared, you're just left with 2. Okay. And your goal when you're grouping is trying to get this right here from this. Okay. If you don't, then grouping doesn't work. Then you have to try something else. Okay. All right, so what do you notice between 3 and 6? Well, they have 3 in common. So let's take out 3. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 2 gives me 6. Okay. All right, we're almost there. So from here, again, we're making it smaller, or we're factoring. Okay. If you notice, we started with the 3, and all the powers here are less than 3. That's what factoring means. Going back to this problem, what do you notice that they have in common? Okay. If you don't see it, I'm going to put it in red. They have x plus 2 in common. Okay. So I'm actually going to take out the x plus 2. I'm going to go work over here. Okay. So if you take out an x plus 2, okay, so I took it out. I took out an x plus 2 from here, put it over here. This x plus 2 is the same thing. So what am I left with? Okay. What are you left with? Sorry. Okay. What are you left with? Well, if you take out an x plus 2, I'm going to go ahead and put a slash through it. I'm left with x squared, and I'm left with positive 3. The reason you don't have a plus is because you're actually taking it out. This plus right here in the middle is right here. Okay. So I just simply factored, which we're changing it to multiplication, because if you multiply this, you should get back to what you started. Okay. And we just covered multiplying polynomials. So that's a good practice. Okay. All right, so this is my answer. Okay. I just simply grouped this into pairs of 2, and I actually factored it out. Okay. All right, we're definitely going to have more practice with that, but that's just the first new method that I'm introducing to you. All right, let's continue. All right, what's next? Alright, these are just some patterns that you should recognize, stuff that we've seen in the sections that we covered up to this point. First one, common monomial. What that means is that if you look at the problem, they have something in common. So think for a moment. What does 3x squared plus 6x have in common? Well, let's look at the numbers first. They have 3 and 6, so 3 in common. So let's take out a 3. Now let's go to the variables. X and x squared. You usually want to look at the smallest, so they have an x in common. They don't have x squared in common because this one has an x squared, but this one only has an x. So let's take out an x. If you take out 3x away from 3x squared, you're left with 1x, and then 3 times 2 gives you 6. So that's what factoring means. I just made something that's from, I started with the quadratic, and I made it into linear. All right, difference of squares. Again, you can use the box method for this, okay? Or you could simply use this formula, okay? All right. If I'm using this formula, that means that everything has to be in squares. This is definitely not in a square, okay? I'm gonna make this into a square. What number times one number gives you 9? The same number. Well, that's 3. Okay? And if you notice, x squared, 3 squared, that looks like our formula. Now we can plug it in. Okay? So my answer is x minus y, which in this case is 3, and then x plus y. Okay? So that's how you use the difference of square formulas. Okay? And definitely you're going to have more practice with this. Okay? X minus 4 squared. This is different than this. Okay? This we actually had no parentheses, and we had to change the 9 into a square. Here, we're just simply using the formula, okay? If this is confusing, just follow the sign. If it's on top, therefore it's gonna be with the positive. If it's negative, then this one's gonna be simply negative, okay? All right, here we go. X is still x squared, okay? Minus, if you look at the formula, it's a minus. That 2 is part of the formula, okay? And then x times 1, so that's x times 4. And then it's plus y squared, which that is 4 squared. Okay. Now you have to simplify. So x squared stays the same. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8 x. And then 4 squared is 16. Okay. So this is a perfect square trinomial. All right, factor row trinomial. Here I'm going to show you the box method. If you've never seen the box method before, well, this is a different form of a box method. I'm going to use the box method to factor. Okay? So let's go ahead and do box method. All right. If you've never seen a box method before, go ahead and create yourself a box. Okay. First term goes here. Last term goes here. Okay. In order for the box method to work, you need to have an A and a C. If you don't have an A and a C, box method doesn't work. Okay. And again, this method right here works with 2 terms, 3 terms, and then 4 terms, which we're going to see in just a moment. Okay. But this is just a refresher. All right, x squared. How do you get x squared? Okay, x squared is x times x. Okay. How do you get positive 3? So when you cross multiply, sorry, if you've never seen box method, we're gonna cross multiply. Follow the colors. We cross multiply these boxes to get our check. What are we checking? Well, if you notice, we haven't used one term. We haven't used the negative 4x. So negative 4x is what we're trying to get. So this is our goal. Whatever we plug in here has to give us negative 4x. If it doesn't, then go simply erase it and try again. Okay? All right. One thing to remember, our factors always go horizontally. So this is our factors right here. Okay? These are our factors. Also our answers. Okay? All right, so again, we're trying to get negative 4x, but we have positive 3. So let's list out all the possible factors of 3. So how do we get 3? 1 times 3. Think about the negative. Negative 1 times negative 3. Okay? And that's it. So we have to use negative 1 times negative 3. Because our goal is trying to get negative 4x. If you plug in positive 1 and positive 3 there, it's not going to work. Okay? So negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 1 times x is negative 1x. Negative 3 times negative 1 is negative 4x. It checks out. Okay? So that's our goal. Okay? All right, so what are your answers? Your answers go this way. So x minus 1 times x minus 3. Let's go ahead and place that here. So this is a method called box method for factoring. All right. All right, so these are the new ones, okay? On the next video, I'm gonna go over sum of cubes, difference of cubes, and then we're actually gonna get into more examples, okay? So stay tuned for the next video. See you guys.